is what my house looked like when I was a mom of 2 under 2. My husband also worked from home at that time. But the day was just that, like, he could help here and there, like a few minutes here and there. But there's no way your husband can, like, reset the whole mess. There's nobody, like, coming to save the family, you know? So it started about here on any given day. And it would grow and grow and grow and grow. And then we would sleep, so at least it wouldn't grow while we were sleeping. And then it would grow and grow and grow and grow, day after day, because it felt easier. No, wait a second. I was messing up. It would grow and grow and grow and grow until it hit functional. And then it could grow some more because it felt easier to postpone the work. Like, well, baby needs me. No, I can't do the dishes right now. I need to go, like, wipe their fingers because they have jam all over them. And the mess is going to get bigger if I don't do something about that. So it hits just barely above functional, and then you have to bring it back down. It becomes urgent to bring it back down until you've had enough of that, and the mess gets to the point where it's just overwhelming because it's been just barely functional for so long. There's so many things left out of place, and you don't feel like you can do. Hi. Are you Marianne?
Yes.
Good to meet you in person.
He was working late and he got home early.
Yeah, come on in. Okay, so to catch you up, we have the messometer. We have the mess getting messier.
Yes.
But if it starts to not be functional, you have to clean it, right? So you're bouncing around. It's always messy. It's just a little bit too messy. And it's just a little bit, like you're living your life always needing to clean something before living it. It's never quite ready. And sometimes it's not nearly ready, right? Like, it's not just one load of dishes that need to be done. Like, the counters are just a total disaster. You can't even start, whipping up your bean and beef burritos.
You can't cook until you clean first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's the worst time to be cleaning your kitchen, right? When you're hangry, you don't want to do it, but you do it anyway, and it makes that big of a dent, right? You're still halfway up your thermometer. You're still anxious about the mess. It's still overwhelming for you, but it's functional, right? You do what needs to be done. Well, I would get to the point after being in this not functional zone for so long that I just couldn't take it anymore. And something clicked in my head, and I was on a rage clean after that. It was rage cleaning day. It actually took 2 days, so it was sleep here and then all the way down to the bottom, as close to this line as we could possibly get, because I couldn't take it anymore, right? I call this the rage cleaning cycle. You take it until you can't take it anymore. Rage clean it. Or bring the whole family on board for a Saturday clean. Make it get down to the bottom, and then you start again. But what you miss is that there's an alternative where you don't have to go way up here and get that anxious about your mess and get that overwhelmed. Well, maybe I shouldn't call this the rage cleaning cycle, because there was rage cleaning. There were also days where, you just get the itch that you have to get out of the house, that you can't take it anymore, or you shut down, like it's just overwhelming. Sit on the couch for 5 minutes turns into an hour and a half. Couch, potato. And it clicked for me that there had to be another way when I realized that this was fight, flight, freeze. And I was putting myself through this cycle where I was in my sympathetic, nervous response monthly, if not weekly. And I knew that there had to be a way that I could keep my house clean and functional without having to experience this all the time. So I went on a quest. I joined the Fly Lady, like, online support group. I made a bunch of lists. You have a control journal at home. I had all the lists. I was so prepared. It felt really good to have a plan in place, right? Whether it's you're using a system that's already spelled out for you, or you just sit down with your planner and you just like work out all of the to-dos and you assign each to an hour of your week. And an hour on Sunday means like, I am smooth sailing, my plan is in place, I can do this until somebody gets sick, or you just have things come up, or the kids take longer than you expected them to do XYZ thing, or you take longer, right? Because you're having to reset this whole mess. And it turns into that overwhelm cycle again, where instead of just getting started, you're now having to start, you're sitting here for a minute, making a list while you're here, and then tackling it, and it just doesn't work. So, let me tell you about the alternative. Let me tell you about what I do instead. Instead of making the clean, pleasant way down here my goal, and then getting overwhelmed when it was way up here, the first step was to change my mindset to what would it take for at least the line isn't going up and up and up. At least the line is going sideways. Can we all agree that sideways is better than going up? I mean, ideally, it would be going way down here at the end of every day. Reality hits, you know? Some days it just has to stay stable. So I answered that question for myself. It took a few weeks, but I answered that question for myself to prove to myself what made this difference between here and here. Thankfully for me, I was playing it on easy mode because all of the toys were already out, all of the dishes were already dirty, so I just had to keep the mess, you know, functionally clean. My goal was to have a space on my kitchen counter where I could cook dinner, and it would always be clean. So I cleaned off this space. I got some like little things from the dollar store to decorate just this space, to make this space my happy place. Nothing was allowed to live on this counter space, and that was functional for me. It didn't have to be fancy, just functional. And that, I translated that to each room of my house. The playroom. What do I need to do to at least keep the playroom from not getting worse? That's pretty easy, because all the toys were already out, so you just make sure that you don't bring any additional toys in from the toy rotation, right? And so at that point, I was still living kind of up here at the border between functional and not functional, but at least my line looked like this instead of like this. So that's a win. That was a huge win. And then there was a day where I had a little bit of extra energy, and I got to do that, and then live down here. So sometimes we jump too far in our messes. It comes in stages. If I had a little bit longer of whiteboard, I would write. From here, I jumped down just a little bit more and started and started operating down here. But I didn't have to do it all at once. Now, I want to give you a chance. On your handout, there's a spot on the back where you can write down what would it take for me, what would it take for you to keep your house functional? Or to keep your house like consistently going horizontal instead of the mess getting worse. Once you have a chance to write down that list, there's one more step that I want you to take, and that is for each task brings your home back to where it needs to be. I want you to choose what time of day would be the least inconvenient time of day to do that thing. Because we talked earlier about how right before you need to eat is the worst time to be cleaning the kitchen. Well, if you know a different time, you know this is the least inconvenient time. You can either do it during the least inconvenient time, or it'll be more inconvenient later, and that's up to you. It's always up to your present self to decide whether or not that's a priority. But if you have an idea of where in the day it needs to happen, you'll be prepared when dinner time comes. It's time to start browning the beef. And guess what? The stove is clear. Because 2 hours ago, right before you, picked up the kids from school, you decided that was your time where we're gonna just wash the pots that were on the stove. Maybe not tackling the big pile, but at least those ones. And then your life starts to be smooth sailing. And you start to realize that you don't have to clean before you cook. You don't have to clean before you play. You don't have to clean before you walk down the hallway, because there are so many things living in the hall. And I'm going to give you some tips as we wrap up. Tips for how to make this easier for you to keep track of. Because it's so easy for me to tell you to write a list and tell you this is what you put on the list, but then if it is more work for your brain to keep track of, where's the list, what have I done on the list so far, it's more work to keep track of the list than it is to just let it be and then hit dinner time and it's not ready working. So here is my recommendation. My recommendation is to have one spot in your home that has all of your reminders and things. It can be your little home base. I have a shelf on my bookshelf where I have all my reminders. And it doesn't need to be big, just a little spot. And split up what you need to do in a day into what do I need to do in the morning? What do I need to do between when school's over and dinner time? What do I need to do in the evening? What do I need to do maybe after the kids go to bed? What's my final reset for the day? So you only have one portion of the list that you need to focus on at a time. It's going to be a really short list. And you're going to think, oh, I can just add some things to this list. But let it be a short list at first. The reason why I'm saying this is because the list is to help you whether it's a hard day or an easy day. And on a hard day, you don't have the brain power to filter through what on this list is important to me. When I was trying to do Fly Late, the reason why it failed for me was because there was such a big list that I wanted to get through. When I didn't have enough energy to get through it all, I was like, well, I guess I'll just do the top 2 things on the list because that's all I can handle today. And I wouldn't ever get down the list to what was actually moving the needle for me because I didn't have the brain power to sort through that. Just sort through it once. Keep the short list. If you'd like to extend it to a longer list, please do. Make it get not just functional, maybe have a little extended list to bring it down to pleasant at the bottom if you need to add some things to your little reset. But keep that short list highlighted, keep it separate, keep it visually distinct so that on the hard days you know what's important. The other recommendation that I have as you're keeping track of these lists is when you carry it with you, keep it attached to you. So either in your hand or you can put it on, I have some lanyards that I use to keep it on a lanyard. But keep it on you because if the house is in a disarray, you don't want to be searching all over the house for your list to get started because again, that makes it more difficult to use the list than to not use the list and then start your cycle over again. So questions on daily routines?
I'm curious.
Go ahead, Marianne.
Ask the audience. So I found that, I'm so curious what other people do, but like I have found that for like the big tasks like laundry, laundry is the biggest one. I like do it all on one day instead of like spreading it throughout the days. But I find that like, of course, during the week, it's not really the laundry, but it's more just, I get the house really clean over the weekend, like Sunday, Monday is like my big to-do day. And then it just starts to get, it just steadily goes down. And so like, I like doing like Monday being super hard day, don't do work that day, it's just like house and things, but I'm curious like what others' experiences are, or like what you found that works for you.
I honestly do kind of a similar thing, where when I go beyond, so this is my little daily routine, it keeps it somewhat horizontal. If I start down here, let's say this is the beginning of the week, you start horizontal, but it kind of, you don't quite keep on top of everything, and then that's where your weekly routines come in. I'm having a big day to do my big weekly things, but this is what keeps this day from being a big catch up, clean up, all the little things that add up that could become a mountain by the end of the week. If something is going to become a mountain after 3 or 4 days, like the laundry for me, not for you, the laundry for me after 3 or 4 days is too much. I can't, my laundry machine is just really small capacity, and I cannot catch up all in one day. So for me, that's something that happens so that my mountains don't build up to the point where I can't just take care of it in one big chunk once a week. So that's the line that I draw. If it can't wait a full week, or at least a week, because sometimes Monday doesn't happen, so you have to wait a couple of days. If it can't last a week to a week and a half, you just do it a little bit daily. Any other experience?
I have to do laundry throughout the week, or it would be, I have twin boys that just strip every day after school and throw their clothes on the bedroom floor, and day after day after day, all week, and so, I'm still figuring out how to get them to use like a hamper and to decide, is this dirty or is this clean? Because I'm sure I could cut down on my laundry a lot, but I can't supervise them every second, so half the time I don't even know, and we're just gathering it all up like a bulldozer and taking it to the laundry room. So I definitely do laundry throughout the week as we go.
So do you go in once a week and just like bulldoze all of the clothes, or do you go in daily and teach them this is something we do daily?
See, this is why I'm so overwhelmed, because I have teenagers, and we don't have a lot of after-school activities, but we have enough. So we're driving and taxiing, and then we're trying to do dinner, and there's just stuff going on all the time. And so I have a hard time like doing a nightly.
Do your kids, are your twin boys, are they the teenagers, or do you have?
No, they're 7.
Okay, they're 7. I wonder, like, because in our house, the garage door, we walk in, and then like the laundry room's right there. If they want to strip, you just like have them strip, you know what I mean? I don't know.
That's a good idea.
Because I've started doing that with socks, drives me crazy. You just leave them everywhere, I don't know what's clean, so I end up washing all of them. And I've just put like a little small garbage can thing for like dirty socks, and it just like is right by the door, because they always like take their shoes up there. So like putting it, it's kind of like with husbands, you put a hamper where they drop their clothes.
Even if it's in the middle of the floor.
And this is, I know, actually, this is like a 2-week, it's working, so I'll probably be back and be like,
So you divide your tasks into like blocks of time? So this block, like from 9 to 12, you do these things, and then you have like a block midday and then like an evening block, and you divide your daily tasks into those blocks. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Like on your lanyard?
So I don't try to make arbitrary time blocks, because I know that if I'm only at the mercy of a timer, it's not gonna work very well. I just think, oh, I'll just like push it a few minutes, and it's hard to maintain that boundary. So I actually split my day by the natural things that need to happen. So my oldest is still preschool age, so I don't need to worry about a lot. But we have, like, whenever I wake up is up here. Whenever they wake up is down here. Then we have lunch happens here. I've learned for dinner, if I don't start by 4:15, it won't happen until really late. So I start my dinner routine at 4:15. And then we have kids' bedtime and when I go to sleep. So we have lines that have to be respected instead of like arbitrary time blocking. And then, yeah, for each time block, if that's the most convenient time of day, so honestly, in the morning, that's the most convenient time of day for me to do my dishes. So I do my dishes while I wait for the oatmeal to boil. And that is my thing that's my top priority during that time. And if anything else happens, great. But it just helps me to know what's in my control and to stay focused. Could you tell me a little bit about how your expectations for your kids work, so we can maybe explore that a little bit more? So do they have like a list that they need to do? Do you like sit down with them and like walk them through it? How does that?
So I'll be honest, when I had my twins, so I had 4 kids age 8 and under, and then I had twins. And I feel like I literally lost control of my whole life. Like I'm still picking up the pieces. They're 7, and I'm still picking up the pieces. Because then life evolves, and then you've got teenagers, and you have like different nightly routines, and different bedtimes, and different school. They leave for school at 3 different times in the morning, and it's just they come home at 3 different times because I have elementary, junior high, and high school. So I got this really sweet job chart that I like thought of and put all this time and effort into. It's 1 page, and it's laminated. And their names are laminated, and I rotate their names across the top. And then there's like after school expectations, which are pretty much all the same. And then there's like 1 zone that they're in charge of. And then there's a dinner responsibility, so after dinner, and then a weekend, like a Saturday job. And that worked pretty well, because then they would use dry erase to mark off as they go. But it's really hard to be consistent. So we're really sort of an organic, like, I need the dishwasher emptied, who's gonna do, and literally my 4 to how many respond, they'll share emptying the dishwasher, which is ridiculous. Because 1 person, but like, 1 will do silverware, 1 will do bottom, 1 will do top.
Yeah.
But they get it done.
Yeah.
And then I expect them to put away their laundry. We'll just divide it in piles, and they put away their laundry. And then we do rooms on weekends. And then after dinner, they just eat and scatter. Dinner is such a challenge. Like, talking about functional, I think that's one thing I would really like to get under control, is help after dinner. Because if we could manage that, then waking up in the morning and the dishes are done and the kitchen's clean would be so huge.
Mm-hmm.
So,
because washing the pot that you have to scramble the eggs in right before everybody has to leave for school.
yeah, or oops, the dishwasher didn't get turned on, and there's a sink full of dishes that I get to wake up to and do that before I cook breakfast.
Yep.
Who wants to start their day that way? So yeah, I think that's probably our biggest challenge, is just because the teenager eats in ditches, and the 7-year-old ADHD boys eat and go play. Like, they just, that's the hardest thing, I think, is after dinner.
Yeah. I can't say that I've lived through it, My mom has, behind the camera. So maybe I'll have you share your thoughts in a minute. I can share principles that I've used with my kids and see if that's helpful. Let me see. I use these lists for myself. This one is my list for getting ready for coming to this class.
I saw,
So-
are those binder clips?
These are binder
I
clips.
I kind of dug into your, like, I saw that it's fun to see that live, like.
Yeah. I use these for my kids too. So if you're probably not familiar, we have a list of things that need to be done, binder clip next to each of them, and you just flip the clip when you're done. It makes a fun little sound,
Yeah.
like
My girls
little
would
happy
love
sound.
that. Yeah. That's really good.
I started with a mini clipboard instead of, this is like wood that you can get from Hobby Lobby or Amazon or whatever. But it's nice to be able to carry it around. So each of my kids has one of these that has their evening routine on it, and they wear it in a little lanyard until they're done. And they just, I give them a marshmallow in they have a little treat box. I give them a little marshmallow in their treat box for when we have hot cocoa, if they take the lead on it. If I have to sit there and say, okay, your next thing is brushing teeth, I get the marshmallow in the morning.
So
Oh,
a reward if they take the initiative without you.
without you following them around.
Yeah, so now even my 4-year-old, she'll wake up in the morning and just do her morning routine. She'll wake me up fully dressed with her teeth brushed. It's amazing.
See, I should have started this a decade ago.
It's never too late.
I love the rewarding initiative because if you've ever read Atomic Habits, it's the getting started that's the hardest.
Yes.
And so you're helping them over the hump of getting
Yes.
started.
So so the initiative, it sounds like you're saying those are the expectations. If they do the initiative, there's the marshmallow. If not, then.
They have to do it.
They
Yeah.
still have to do it.
Yeah,
But they
yeah.
get a little
But
bonus.
they get a
if
little
start.
bonus for the initiative.
Right. Because I don't want the incentive to be on the did they do it or not? Because not doing it is not an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I said, each of the kids has one of these for bedtime routines. As they get a little older, I'll make one of these for different times of the day. Or they have an evening and morning routine. I'll make one for after dinner. Each person gets to carry their own around. If you want them to be able to take initiative easier, to be able to kind of reduce that entry difficulty to start the thing, it may be a good idea to, instead of keeping one page in a central location in the home, keep their personal list on a location that's central to their routine. So if their routine is, they come in, they go to their bedroom, they strip off all their clothes, change into play clothes, and leave their clothes on the floor, you would maybe put their little list on their bedroom door. As they're entering the room, it's right in front of their eyeballs. And before they, it has to be done. Maybe you can think of another, I don't know. You can do another marshmallow, you can do a dime.
So do you have one of those
screen time.
for their bedtime routine?
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking morning routine, after school routine, nighttime routine. How would you do that?
Well, the same way. You
Just have
just
three.
have 3 little lists, just like I do for me. I have 3 lists. Visually, something about me. Visually, if I see a page-long list, that's overwhelming to me.
For kids, for sure.
For kids, for sure. Also for kids, it might be helpful to put a little picture on it, and there's not room for every single thing and a picture to go along with it. So yeah, that would be my recommendation. See if you can try it out maybe, so that they can have, for this little, not this is me waking up to them waking up. This is them waking up to them going to school, and they have one clip list that's theirs, that's accessible to them. Maybe it's where they keep their toothbrush, or whatever is the first thing that they do in the morning. You can hang it on a 3M hook on the wall maybe.
Yeah.
It's accessible to them. It shows them clearly what needs to be done. non-negotiable that it gets done.
Mhm.
So,
Do you reward them when their list is done?
yeah,
Okay, so you reward them if they take initiative, and you reward when the list is complete?
oh, no.
Oh.
If they take initiative on it, they get a marshmallow. So when I tell them it's time to do this list, like dilly-dally, I can see that you're not listening to me. Would you like me to take charge of your list? No! And they run, and there's like, they want their marshmallow. If they get to the point where it's like, just barely enough time left for them to finish the list before their actual concrete time deadline, it's easy enough to say, hey, I can see you're dilly-dallying. Would you like me to sit with you and I can help you? And then I can kind of assess, like, are they really the one taking the lead and I just have to body double, or am I having to, step through each thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's not like a reward when the list is done. That's just part of life, you have to get this list done. Yeah.
I like that
true.
it's like a physical list, because my girl is 3 and 6, and the 6-year-old especially, it's like, go get dressed, go get dressed, go get dressed, go get dressed. It's like constant. She gets distracted, it's like reeling her back in, so it's really good.
My kids do really well with lists, but it gets tiring to make 6 lists.
Mhm.
So if I had something more permanent like that, that would be nice. And then the binder clip is really satisfying. The
Mhm.
click.
Yes.
I did get some little punch cards on Amazon. It came with like 200 cards and a punch.
Yeah.
And there's like 10 punches. But even that is kind of tedious because everyone's like, where's the whole punch? Where?
Right.
But I love the lanyard idea, and then command hooks like in their bedroom, in the
Mhm.
bathroom where the lists can live, where they're gonna see them.
Yeah.
I like that idea a lot.
If this is useful to you, I can let you see it before you leave. This is, I put dry erase film on the front, so
Mhm.
this one is dry erase. I have a couple that are just dry erase. So this morning when I sat down, and I was like, okay, I'm nervous that I might not be able to remember everything to bring to my class tonight. I wrote it down on my blank one, and once I don't need it anymore, I'll erase it and start again. Another thing that I've tried is, like I said, the mini clipboards. You can get them, they're like $1 or $2 at Walmart for one of them. And that was actually what I tried with my kids first. And it might have just been that they were toddler and preschooler, but that little piece of paper that was on the clipboard got scattered around and turned into a paper airplane, it's hard to keep track of it. So I like having it glued down. Or maybe because your kids are older, they might be able to keep track of a clipboard with a paper better. But, yeah. I'm planning on this class being a short series. So tonight I was hoping to focus on daily routines. Next time we're gonna focus on like managing inventory and especially with kids, decluttering like the toy room, keeping it manageable for them. And then the last one is gonna be how to handle your weekly routines to kind of do your weekly reset, your bigger tasks. I also do seasonal, so we have the weekly, and then eventually I get to like a seasonal rotation as well. So if that's interesting to you, you're welcome to come back. If not, I hope that tonight was helpful anyway.